the way we remunerate agencies. What we do is we pay agencies to do things. So the more they do, the more they get paid. So you're sitting there as a marketer and you've got a creative agency and a media agency and an events company and a brand company there. They will get paid more if they do more. So what that creates is a world where, next slide please, everyone's competing for a slice of your pie. As a marketer, you're sitting there with a fixed budget, and all of your agencies are actually primarily driven by justifying getting a bigger wedge of this pie. Because the big financial driver is that the more you do, the more you get paid. The more you get paid, hopefully, the more margin you make. Rather than focusing on this, which is the next slide, making a bigger pie. Imagine if every single company that the marketer was working with was actually incentivised on the basis of the bigger the pie rather than the bigger the slice of the pie. Rather than remunerating people for what they did, we actually remunerated marketing suppliers, marketing vendors, marketing agencies for actually creating value. This way we get alignment. It doesn't matter whether it's a PR agency or a direct marketing, CRM, whatever the discipline is. What they're doing is they're going to get more profit from actually achieving the marketer's objectives, rather than more profit or more revenue purely for doing more of what they do. I mean, the fact of the matter is that advertising alone doesn't work anymore in isolation. It needs those multiple disciplines. We need to touch consumers at multiple points. So if we're going to have multiple ways of communicating, what we need to do is to align those and reward people for creating the value. So, the other problem is, and it was interesting going around the table, is the way we define what we do. I mean, it used to be easy once upon a time. You know, PR person did PR. They made brand strategy, design. Would do brand strategy and design. Event companies did events, but now everyone does everything. I think almost every agency I talk to has a digital capability. Even PR companies do digital. So if everyone can do everything, how do we actually get people working together? Imagine a building site where the electrician and the plumber and the carpenter can all do those things. They'd all be competing with each other trying to build the house. So there's no longer that clear differentiation anymore. Everyone sitting around the table on the basis of the more they do for the client, the more they can justify the revenue they get, is now trying to do everyone else's job. And this is even worse when you start to magnify that out from a local market here to a regional or global market. I mean, some of the things we see is marketers will appoint an agency network globally, and then in each market start to appoint local companies to fill the holes. And the local companies, most of the time, will spend a lot of their efforts trying to justify getting more and more of that local spend. It's the only way they can build their business is by getting more of the revenue in each of those markets. So it becomes they compete with each other rather than actually working with the client to compete with the client's competitors. You want people to play their best game. You don't want them to try and spend all their time and effort competing with all the other people on the team. Because pretty much this is what it's like. Most marketers will say, through a meeting with their agencies, this is how they feel. They're getting pulled one way or the other. The media agency says, we have to put more into media. The digital agency says, don't do paid media, let's create media opportunities. The creative agency is saying, no, what we need to do is we've got this great idea and it's actually an event, and they've never done events. You know? So the event company is saying, well, we know how to run events. You should put your money over here into events. What we really want is this alignment. We want to align so that they're all pulling in the same direction. The other thing is that when we talk about alignment, we have some marketers that think, well, that just means lining everyone up and getting them walking around in circles. They may be aligned to the circle, but this is a great way of wasting money. What it's about is marketers taking the responsibility of setting goals, clear goals and objectives, and then remunerating the agencies for achieving those goals and objectives, and clearly defining their role in achieving those goals and objectives. The other function is to undertake regular checkups and updates. And this is another area where you don't, everyone talks about this. This is like motherhood, you know, when you've got lots of suppliers. Yes, we spend, every 6 months I sit down with the managing director of each agency and we talk about how well they're performing. The fact of the matter is that unless you have a proper 360-degree process and a discipline, most of these conversations are irrelevant because they're being undermined by, one, a lack of clarity, two, a lack of remuneration incentive. So casual conversations really don't cut it, especially the larger the marketer, the more stakeholders involved. There really needs to be a discipline. One of the ways, imagine, you know, there's the marketer, direct marketing, planning, design, PR, digital, media. If you had a way of being able to see how all of those agencies work together, if you actually had a way of seeing who was working well with who and who was not working so well together, who was collaborating and who wasn't collaborating. You think about the fees that this client is spending across all of these agencies, and yet they may only be getting the best in some areas. This is the level or the detail that marketers have to deal with. Of course, some of them go to a one-stop shop, but behind the scenes this is still happening. So their scorecard, their satisfaction survey may show them that they're getting along really well with the media agency, but unless they know how well the media agency is working with PR, working with planning, working with digital, they could be wasting their money. This is a collaboration system called Evaluating, and it's actually a way that people, marketers, can start to look at how aligned their agencies are to the overall objectives, whether that's within groups such as this or across regional brand teams, how aligned they are to the overall brand strategy. So, how do you create a collaborative environment? Well, firstly, why do you need a collaborative environment? You need a collaborative environment because at the moment it's not about having one agency. No one I know has one agency. You've got at least two, maybe three or four or five. So what you want to do is make sure that they're working together. If you're getting the best value for money, you're going to be working with and making sure they're all working together. To do that, you need to look at what is the best structure for you as a marketer, or even as an agency, what's the best structure for the client? What's the remuneration model? Does it actually encourage collaboration, or does it encourage competition between each of those parties? What are the roles and responsibilities? Are they clearly defined? Are you getting best of breed and getting them focused on what they do best? Or are they really just becoming a general service provider? Because ultimately, you should be paying a premium for the best. Are they delivering the best? And the next thing is, how do you then arrange and manage those relationships so that you're getting constant improvement? And if all else fails, and my title was, better agency management or die trying. If you feel like you're going to die trying, then you can always call us, because it really is, it's only marketing and advertising after all. It's really not worth dying over.
Darren, thank you. very interesting.